Introduce myself really quick. My name is Becky Page, and I am a Diamond Ambassador. And I currently live in Fayetteville, Arkansas, but previously lived in North Texas for forever. And when I lived in Dallas for about 20 years, that's when I met Robin Sullivan. And Robin is just a very kindred spirit to me. I think we share a lot of the same values. We are different personalities, but I feel like we enjoy each other. And so I have to tell y'all this story if you don't know this, but Robin, you're Enneagram 1, right? Okay. Robin is real organized and I am not. And so when we first met and we realized how much we liked each other and that, we enjoyed talking to each other and kind of felt like a kindred spirit among each other. But what we realized real quickly was Robin was like, well, Becky, how do you stay organized? Because she came, we had coffee together and she came, and I mean, she's very beautiful, but she looked great. Robin kind of always looks great. I came rolling in like a hot mess, probably hair in a bun, sweaty, I worked hard to be able to look this bad at work. So she's like, Becky, how do you stay organized? And I'm like, what do you mean? And she pulls out an organizer and we're talking through it and she's showing me how she tracks everything. She's a former teacher. She's formerly in administration. That's how her brain works. And I'm like, well, Robin, I make a lot of lists and sticky notes, but otherwise I just try to keep things in my head. And she's like, girl, do you not have an organizer? And I was like, no. And she literally pulled out a spare organizer right then and gave it to me. And that just, I don't know why you're laughing, because it was such a gift. It was truly such a gift. First of all, to have someone spot it, girl, how are you leading this many people and you don't have a daytimer or an organizer? But she was like, no, seriously, you can have this one. And I mean, they're not cheap. She gave me a really great one. And anyway, it was my first one. Guys, I had been a professional for almost 15 years. It's not like I didn't have access to that stuff. But what I love about Robin is she gives of her time, she gives of her leadership, which has been really good for me. I admire her because specifically she has a lot of integrity. She's not only poised, but I feel like she has the gift of discernment as well, if that makes sense. So a little over a year ago, she called me to tell me about Raya, because Raya was coming up and was going to be a new jewel. And we talked back and forth just over voice messenger all morning. And I have never met Raya in person. I've only gotten to train under Raya on calls like this. So the reason I wanted to interview kind of both of them together is because I want you to hear one. I want you, every time we do a call where it's a interview of leaders, I want you to hear things in their story that are gonna not only bless you, but also you're not gonna have the same story as everyone else, okay? I'm just hitting mute, admit if I seem distracted. Your story is different from everyone else's, but there's pieces of everyone's stories that you can glean from, you can take wisdom from, you can relate to. So tonight, I invite you to just listen and take what you need to get from tonight, whether it's something about their story or something about the way these two ladies lead. I want you to hear the difference in even these two friends. God did something different in each of their lives, and you need to know that he's up to something in yours as well. So I'm going to first start off with Robin, and then we're going to pass the mic to Raya, and then I'll get to ask them some questions, but I want you to hear pieces of their story first. So hopefully I've talked enough to get as many people on this call. I'm going to pass the mic. Robin, go ahead and unmute yourself and you can tell a little bit of your story.
Okay, well, first, that's a really amazing introduction. I'm giving away planners like Oprah. I mean, this is crazy stuff, y'all. I mean, what a freak I am that I'm in the parking lot of a Starbucks and I've just got a handy dandy planner to pass out to my new friend at Starbucks. This is crazy. This just goes to show you how neurotic I am and why Raya wants to do this with me. I don't know. But I absolutely adore both Becky and Raya. So this is like a super treat for me to do this with you guys tonight. Thanks for asking me to be on, Becky. So some of you probably know my story. I'll make this super short and sweet. I've been doing this a super long time, since September 2013, was an assistant principal, only joined Plexus for the discount, wanted to lose weight, gain willpower, food, ended up losing 30 pounds and 30 inches, have kept it off for 7.5 years. Started sharing Plexus way back in the day with Becky, simply because I saw other people earning income, and I saw how many people in my community really needed these products. They needed relief from so many health issues that Plexus really does address. And so I started sharing. And I'll be honest with you, Becky, I didn't really understand duplication or like making a list of your dream team until I was almost Ruby or senior Ruby. I really didn't have an active upline. So I was truly trying to figure this out on my own. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I had never done network marketing before. And I was Emerald the first time I think I reached out to Raya. I think it was like 2015 when I reached out to Raya, and she joined me in 2019. Okay. So 87 reach outs later, 87 touch points with Raya. And 4 years later, she decided to say yes. I was a Sapphire by the time Raya decided to join me. So when I first started reaching out to Raya, and let me remind you guys, since I was already Emerald, I had an amazing team already. I was obviously doing well in Plexus if I was a Plexus Emerald when I started reaching out to Raya. But I want you guys to understand, like, you earn as you learn. Like, I just did the thing. I was just kind of forging ahead and learning and growing as I went on this journey, but I really didn't know what I was doing. Okay. So when I decided to reach out to Raya, it was literally when I realized, oh, like, this duplication thing is real. Like, I need to look for business builders, and I need to look for rock stars. I need to think about the people that I would want to do this with me. And Raya was literally at the top of my list. Like, when you say make your dream team list, she was number one. Okay. And I told her this. Actually, in my phone, it says Raya Moore Dream Teamer. It says that. It still says it, Raya. And I knew that she was at the top of my dream team list because I knew what this opportunity could do for her. And when she tells her story, you'll realize how similar, like, what I thought I knew was going on in her life, it paralleled in many ways, but there were lots of things that I didn't know that were going on in her life. And so my first tip to you guys is, if the Lord has placed someone on your heart, and if he's given you a nudge that you should reach out to somebody or continue to reach out to someone, do it. Keep doing it. Because I knew, based on all the things, all the reasons why I would want to do this business with someone like Raya. We had history. We went to college together. We had, our parents were friends. She came from good stock. I knew that it would be fun doing this with her. You'll hear in just a second, she's a lot more fun than me. And I feel like I'm pretty fun, but she's way more fun than I am. And on top of that, I just knew there were a lot of parallels to both of our lives. We all have, like, we're girl moms. She's got 3 girls. I have 2. Both of our husbands are named Derek, same spelling. And we both lived in Texas. She used to not live in Texas. I think when I first started reaching out to her, she was living in Miami, getting ready to move to Texas. And so, point is this: I continue to reach out to Raya until the timing was right, and she'll share that piece of her story. But I'm so glad that I persisted without exception, because she has literally changed the trajectory for my entire team. Like, in 2020, she woke my team up, because my team was already incredible, but it was something about breathing new life into your business. So if you've been in a season where you've kind of been stuck, and I don't even really like to use the word stuck, but when you're just kind of in a holding pattern, right? Holding pattern is a better word to use, because I never felt stuck in my business. I always wondered, would I ever get past Emerald? Would I ever get to Diamond? I knew that it was going to happen. I knew it was just a matter of time, and it wasn't in my timing, it was in his timing. But I knew without a shadow of a doubt that once Raya decided to do this and she said yes, that it would light a fire up under the rest of my team. And that's exactly what happened. And it was a beautiful marriage because she fit right into our already amazing team culture. And she's added so much to what we already had going on Team Made for More. So I'll let you ask me any more questions, Becky, and then we'll pass it on to Raya.
Well, Robin, I wanted just to clarify, especially if we've got some people who are fairly new on the call. When Robin says 87 touch points, tell them what you mean, Robin.
So Raya was one of the first people that I led with the business. Because remember, I told you I was clueless. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. So when I reached out to her, I did reach out to her for the business. And I got her on the phone. And she did actually eventually get on the phone with me. And she knew that I was successful. She knew I had a Plexus Lexus. She knew, and I told her all that, we were the type of friends I could be honest with her. So I told her what I was making, blah, blah, blah. And it just wasn't the right timing for her. She was not super interested. I mean, she heard me out, but that was really it. So 87 touch points later, like legit, I went and counted, and we have a very long text thread now in Messenger, but I went back to 2015, 16 when I first started talking to her about Plexus. And it was like, I could not let it go. It wasn't because the focus was on how much I wanted my business to change. It was literally because I knew that if she said yes to this, how much her life would change. So that's another key point here is you've got to stop making things about you and make it about the other person. Because I knew without a shadow of a doubt, if she said yes to this, and she was coachable, she would take this to the top, and her financial trajectory for her family would change for years to come. And so that was why I continued to persist. It wasn't really about me because I was already Emerald. I was already really fine, honestly. I mean, I had fulfilled my why when I replaced my income as an assistant principal, and that was at Ruby Senior Ruby. So it's really about other people, and you've got to continue to make that in the forefront of your mind when you're working your business every single day. Hope that's helpful.
That's super helpful because I think something that happens, and Raya, get ready because we're getting ready to move over to you. But I think something that happens is, don't you think we naturally make it about us? And for the good or the bad, we either go in super insecure, like, oh, I hate to ask you this, or oh my gosh, we go in thinking, what can this person do for my business? That's just natural. It's human that we might think that way. But I feel like a really powerful shift, especially in your belief, is to really, like you say, I mean, when you pray and for someone that's on your dream team list or on your list for any reason, you really can go in and make it about them. And that way, when they say no and they ghost you and you have 87 touch points that you're reaching out and talking to them, like I remember you joking and saying, basically like she was going to have to enter the witness protection program because you'd contacted her so many times. But it's like when you make it about them, you have the freedom to let go of the results and to let God do his thing in his time. So yeah, I want to hear, Ray, I want to hear your background and hear more of your story too. Then we'll come back and I'll ask you guys some questions together. But Raya, tell us what was going on in your world and tell us about this timing shift for you.
Oh gosh. Okay. Hi everyone. I'm excited to be here. First of all, thank you, Becky, for having us on here. I'm excited to share. So a little what was going on with me. When Robin was reaching out to me, well, first of all, y'all, I have to show y'all this since we're talking about the planners and it's like Oprah, you get a planner, you get a planner. Y'all, these are my 3 planners. Okay. And they're all from Robin. Like all of these are from Robin, my 3 planners. Like, yes. When I first started, she's like, you have to go get a planner. So she told me, like, she's like, go to Joann's. So I guess the first one isn't from Robin, but she sent me a coupon. She was like, here's a coupon, go to Joann's and you can get a half off. And so I'm like in Joann's looking for this stuff. Anywho, moving along. Okay. So Robin, what's my background? Like Robin said, we met in undergrad, and y'all it's funny what Becky said about, Robin being organized, super organized. And I remember one time I said, Robin, I'm not as disciplined as you. And this was like last month when I said that. And we were just talking and she's like, yes, you are. She's like, you are disciplined. You are diamond. You're definitely disciplined. And what I meant by that, and she's right, I am as disciplined as her, but I'm not as organized. So I am just like, I'm all over the place, y'all. I am. And I mean, I bless my heart. I mean, I try to like follow up with everybody, but like, so anywho, but Robin and I went to undergrad, and I've, been knowing her for a while. And that's really important in our story, y'all, because I mean, we lived on the same floor in our dorm room. And my childhood best friend, like my mom's best friend, my mom and her best friend, both had daughters, right? And that's my best friend, right? And so from like birth, y'all, we're a year apart. And so Robin is actually, that's how I met her, through my childhood best friend. And so we all went to the same undergrad together. We got really tight. And so I knew Robin, right? And she's reaching out to me. And that just goes to show you, even the people who you know well, and you think like, I'm presenting this opportunity to them, they should trust me. And I do trust Robin, I always have. You think, well, why are they doing this, right? And you need to continue reaching out to people, because what was happening on my end, I have 3 daughters, and then my oldest one has special needs. And so when Robin first I hadn't had my 3rd daughter yet when Robin first started reaching out to me. So but when so Robin was all, reaching out to me. I was living in Miami, knew no one in Miami. Like, I moved to Miami. My husband had been there. He went to grad school there. And I left my career to be my daughter's caregiver. So I found myself kind of just trying to, this new move, trying to figure that out. And then I was reaching out, y'all. I reached out to Robin. I talk a lot, so I'm trying to keep this succinct before the music starts, Becky, I promise. But I reached out to Robin a lot, y'all, about different things, like about moving to Texas, about shakes one time. That's a whole nother story. But anyways, so I'm like reaching out to her, asking her questions, yada, yada. She's talking to me about Plexus all the while. Like, I'm kind of like, I'm not thinking to myself, no, I definitely don't want to. It just wasn't on my radar. It just wasn't on my radar. So she would message me, and I'm one of those people, y'all, I wouldn't reply about Plexus, but I would message her asking her questions about good protein drinks and this and that, and what church y'all go to? Do you like Texas? We're thinking about moving to Texas. What do you think? And so I'm asking her all these things. And I know she's like, I know this girl sees my Plexus messages. I know she sees them. So anywho, one time we got on the phone, and Robin said to me, Raya, God spoke to me. God spoke to me and said, I needed to reach out to you. And I remember thinking, Robin has lost her marbles. I was like, this child has lost her marbles. Like, I love God. We were a God-centered family, but I was like, what is she talking about? I now realize she was telling the truth, right? Because you get these vibes, you get these feelings, whomever you believe in, that higher power is like telling you to speak to these people. And I needed Robin to talk to me about this. Okay, back to what was going on with me. 3 kids. Then we moved to Texas, new move. We had a lot of healthcare bills, right? Because my oldest, I mentioned, had a lot of, she's special needs. She had 8 major surgeries. She was sick a lot. She was just sick a lot, y'all. And it was just, I had a lot on my plate. Also, I had tried direct sales twice before. Started out strong, at the beginning, that first month, fast start. Yeah. Not even in the same, industry, in the same, category of Plexus. But in my mind, I was like, I've tried this a couple times. It fizzled out. I couldn't keep it going. It didn't happen. It's not for me. I also had the thought where, I've reached out to people about this other stuff. Now, if I try to reach out to them about Plexus, they're going to think that I'm not genuine, So then I had that in my head too. And I saw I saw her success. But that was everything that was going on with me. I just had a lot in front of me. And then ironically though, for some reason it was time and I was ready when when my youngest was a 2-year-old and my oldest was she had just had her like 8th major surgery. So everybody has a lot going on, right? But it's just all about that timing, because that's when I joined Robin. And it really was about the timing, y'all. I realized that I wanted to continue being available to my kids. And that was really important, especially for my oldest daughter, because we just never knew what kind of day she was going to have. So it was important for one parent to always be available. And it got to the point where my youngest, when she was turning 2, I was like, okay, in a couple of years, all 3 of my kids are going to be in full-time school. And my husband's going to be looking at me sideways. Like, like, okay, does it make sense for you to stay home? So I was thinking, I want to continue staying home. I want to continue being there, being the type of mom and wife that I can, but would it make sense for me to not, be bringing in an income, not going back to work? So that's the point. Robin happened to reach out to me about a enrollment special. And I was like, okay, let's do it. This is it. And while I did see Robin's success, y'all, I didn't always see her post. And I actually had a friend who told me, she was like, you need to try Plexus. Robin from Xavier has a Plexus Lexus. And I was like, she does? I didn't even know that. I saw that she was in Hawaii and I wanted to go to Hawaii. But I was like, oh, so it's important, that you also are letting people know and posting and putting that out there, because it was another friend who told me about Robin's Plexus Lexus. So anywho, moving along, we got started. I forgot what I was about to say. Oh, I did want to say this. My husband, y'all, now is like, he travels a lot, right? And he's over traveling. So he actually told one of his largest contracts that he was going to phase them out in June. And he's going to supplement that income or replace that income by going with Plexus with me, with my team. So it's just so funny that it just how things turn. We were in major healthcare debt. We don't live fancy, y'all. We don't, we both have our master's degree. My husband has MBA. He was a chief financial officer at the time. But when you have these healthcare bills, it doesn't matter what your income is. I mean, it just doesn't matter, y'all. And in the blink of an eye, you can go from having a good amount of savings to zero savings and deep in debt. And that's what we were doing, y'all. And we aren't extravagant people. We still aren't. But you just never know what life's going to throw you. And now we have no more healthcare debt. And so what Robin is saying about, it's important to not make it about you. I'm so thankful that she did not give up. She kept reaching out for 4 years, because it has been the answer to our prayers. Not only has it gotten rid of our healthcare debt, and I'll shut up after this. I'll be quiet after this. I just have to share this part. Not only has it gotten rid of our healthcare debt, but y'all, my daughter, who was constantly sick and always at Texas Children's Hospital, has not had to go into a hospital since 2019. Since I started being consistent, I signed up as an ambassador, and consistently she started taking the product. She's 13 years old now, and she no longer is. We used to be at Texas Children's, y'all, like 2-3 times a week. I'm not lying. We were just, we were always being admitted. Oh my goodness, like the registration desk knew me. They were like, "Hey, Miss Moore," they knew my kiddos. And we not only have health, no longer have healthcare debt, but she's healthy. We're all so healthy, and my daughter is healthy. And so just keep that in mind, that people need to hear this. They need this. And I'm so thankful Robin did not give up. And I don't even know if I answered your question, Becky. I get excited.
You did. And I love that part too, because you hear like the future blessings coming as well with your husband, Derek, with him being able to not have to travel so much and to be able to join you, but then also for your kids and especially your eldest. I mean, that's massive. What I love too is that you probably, when you joined, couldn't have predicted those two blessings. And that's why we tell these stories, guys, because belief is immeasurable. Like, I cannot tell you how important it is for y'all to build your belief in the company, the business, and the products and the people. And that's why I love these stories. Okay, I want to ask y'all both a question. Raya, I'm going to start with you just because we've been listening to you, but tell me about a hard season in your business. Now, your business grew gangbusters,
warp speed.
And I think people think that, I think people can sometimes make a false assumption that that means everything's been great. So tell me about a difficult moment in your business and how you endured it and got through it. It says my internet's unstable. Did I make sense?
Yep. Yeah, it was fine on this end, at least for me. So I think probably the first thing that comes to mind, y'all, was that that stage. I now know I wasn't stuck, right? But that stage, that time between senior gold and ruby, and between gold and senior gold, but especially between senior gold and ruby. I don't know what it is trying to get from that gold to ruby, senior gold to ruby hump. I was going backwards. So I'd gotten a senior gold 250, and there was a point where had gone backwards under 100 points. for a few months, and I was just struggling with like, okay, is this for me? Because my first couple of months went really well, right? I knew about this fast start. I wanted to get this fast start. They had extra incentives that month. And I'm like, I'm trying to pay off healthcare bills, right? So, got to gold, like I think my first 40 days, and it took me a little bit longer to get to senior gold. But once I got to senior gold, it was I was just going backwards. And what I did, I just made sure not to get in my head. And there were actually a couple months where I didn't add anyone, but to be honest, I wasn't really working the business and giving it attention like I needed to, right? I would post here and there, and then I would have maybe one or two, events. But I wasn't really aggressively inviting people. I'd send out a couple invites when I thought about it in the carpool line. I really wasn't working it like I needed to. And, wasn't enrolling anyone. And then I just kind of had to get out of my head and be like, okay, Raya, like if you are expecting results, you need to do the work and do it consistently. And I also needed to understand that sometimes you're going to do the work and not see immediate results. So I started to do the work daily, realizing I'm not going to be Ruby tomorrow. I'm not going to be senior gold tomorrow, right? It's going to take months or longer, but I'm planting those seeds. And so I just continued doing those things and putting one foot in front of the other. And just really quick, this is so important, y'all, for my journey, because in February of 2020, yes, February 2020, I almost canceled a live event that my friend was hosting for me. And well, she was an ambassador. I shouldn't say for me. I'm in that mode of those other ambassadors. So she was doing her launch event, a live launch event. She had done a Zoom one. And I almost canceled it because my daughter, my oldest one, the special needs one, it was her first time playing basketball at a mainstream league. She had done Special Olympics basketball, but it was her first time doing like this I-9. I don't know if y'all have I-9 or I forgot where everyone is, but anywho, make kind of a mainstream league. And they made it to the playoffs, which I didn't think was going to happen. So I didn't worry about the fact that I had something scheduled that day. And they made it, and we didn't know what the time of the game was. So I almost canceled my friend's live launch that she was doing, that she had rescheduled 3 times. And I was like, no, Raya, you got to put in this work. You have to make sacrifices. You'll make it. God is looking out. He's not going to make it the same time of the game. I made it for the game. And she made her first shot goal ever, as I was walking into the gym. But anywho, and I was screaming, I was like running down the court, and they were like, they're still playing. But anywho, I didn't cancel that event, and or didn't try to reschedule that event. And that was so important, y'all, because that was February 2020. The next month, the world shut down. She had her event. I made it to the game. She ended up being my first jewel. And under her was my second jewel and my third jewel and my fourth jewel, on people that signed up under her. And that was her launch event in February. And if it hadn't happened, if I said, let's reschedule, it wouldn't have happened, because it was February 22nd, Robin, I think it was. So It was, literally right before the world shut down. And everything, you just have to keep doing the things. You have to put one foot in front of the other and just keep doing the work, and realizing you have to do these things in order to see results. So that was a very, making a long story short, a short story long.
I love it.
That was my moment.
I love it. And I love that you shared about the struggle between gold to senior gold, and then senior gold to ruby. And then Rachel Neagle always talks about, she has a phrase, she calls it rotting at ruby. It's easy to have those moments where you said something about something that really hit me too, but about the perseverance, that you're doing it. You show up to the event, or you do that hard thing, you buckle down, not because you're going to rank up tomorrow, but you're planting those seeds for the future rank up. So you have to have that expectation that even if it takes a while, this is the right thing to do in this moment. And I love that. Robin, tell us about a hard season and how you endured it and grew through it.
Yeah, so obviously my journey looks very different from Raya's, because from the day she joined, July 15th, 2019, she literally went diamond in 12 months from the day she joined. For me, it took 6.5 years. And so I've had many, many peaks and valleys in my journey, and I did not even duplicate having a jewel on my team until I went diamond. So I would venture to say that probably one of the hardest seasons is me learning to build my own personal belief in myself, the products, the opportunity, and this industry, and really standing firm on those beliefs. Because going into something like this from being an educator, being completely green, not knowing what you're doing, I mean, it's kind of blind faith. I mean, I quit my job to do this full time at the rank of gold. So being gold and then getting all the way to diamond without a jewel, I mean, there were lots of tough seasons where I questioned myself, but I knew in my heart of hearts what the Lord had for me. And I knew that I would be a diamond. It was just me, really, the Lord just teaching me patience, y'all. It was really just patience. Because if you have a firm belief in what these products are doing for people and getting people healthy from the inside out, if you have a firm belief in what this industry can do to change a financial trajectory and compress a 30-year income into 4 to 5 years, if you truly believe in your heart of hearts that you absolutely 100,000% are creating change in your community by helping people to reach their own personal goals, then the sky's the limit. Like, there's nothing anybody can tell you, even 87 no's or 86 no's, right? To get to that yes, it was worth it for me because I did learn to focus kind of early on, Becky, to not really make it about me and to make it about other people. So that was a hard season, but I got through it through building that belief.
Somebody said in the comments, and it's worth repeating here, that your journey took 6.5 years to diamond, right?
Mhm.
And yet when you recruited Raya, you didn't put that on Raya. You know, even though your experience was different, you didn't project that onto her or speak that over her. And Raya, I mean, you had the insane experience. It's just for anyone new listening, going diamond in a year, it's an amazing goal. If that's your goal, awesome. Just want to clarify that it's not we need to have like the disclaimer, results not typical, only because I just want to say, like, whether someone's journey is fast, slow, or in between, it's a great journey. It's going to be a hard journey no matter how fast or slow you go, and it's going to be a worth it journey. Okay, so I want to know this, especially for our team, for everyone listening. I want to know how y'all duplicate in your business. And I'm going to explain that just in case somebody doesn't know what I'm talking about. But duplication is I do, and then you join me and we do, so that then that person can you do. It means you're duplicating what you've done for yourself, and you are creating leaders that do the same things. So duplication is when I go silver, then I recruit someone, I help them go silver. Not only that, I help them help their person go silver. That's what I'm talking about. So I want to know, how do y'all do that? And what qualities are you looking for in business builders, and how are you training them to grow?
So can I go ahead and answer this first part? Okay, so I have to say that when I first started Plexus and I learned this concept of why you want to build a team and why this is time leveraging at its finest, that's when my wheels really started to turn. Like, I started to get smart about the business, because I really understood the concept when it was taught to me that it's better for you to leverage 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of your own effort. Okay. Are y'all following me? You want to leverage, you'd much rather leverage 1% of 100 people's efforts. So a lot of people doing a little bit than you doing all the work. Okay. And I literally have seen people on my team, Raya has too, where they are a recruiting machine, but there's no duplication, and you can only go so far that way. Telling my level 3 person on my team, hey, you want to consistently recruit. It's one of the reasons why I was able to go from 1,600 points in January of 2020 to 13,000 points by July. And it's because I've had so much going on with Wise in my business because I have so many level ones working at the same time that's how you create real stability in your business. Okay. So, duplication wise, I think one of the best things that we do is we really cast vision for people. We help people to see like what this opportunity can do for them. And so even if they are only joining for the products, we always talk about the opportunity. We do always share that they have the ability to get 2 or 3 accountability partners, that you're much more likely to stick with, any sort of health regimens, just like Orange Theory. If you find 2 or 3 friends or family members who need this, and we're constantly asking people, who do you know? Plugging people into our pages is huge because honestly, I didn't have an upline. So that's how I caught the vision. If I had not been added to pages, I would have honestly never known about this opportunity because it wasn't being really shared with me in that way. Another thing that I think has been really critical for us, and Raya can speak to this as well, is our launch events. Obviously, during the pandemic, we've done most things virtual. Well, we've done everything virtual. And these launch events that we do for brand new people has been huge. And then also really just helping people to see like their leaders too. So I think we're trying to help build capacity within other leaders on our team, because ultimately you can't be a one-man show. Like you've got to start delegating responsibility to other people on your team and helping other people on your team to raise their leadership lid. So Ray, what do you think duplication wise?
Um, for me, for duplication, a lot of, what Robin is saying, but also, I lead with the business, and I noticed a huge change in my team and in my business when I started leading with the business, meaning when I'm reaching out to people, when I'm messaging them, I talk about the business opportunity, and what this has done for me, and what it can do for them. I'd love to talk to them more about it. And I can't remember if it was Genevieve or Robin who put it this way to me, that was really like a light bulb moment. But if you're reaching out to someone and you're starting with the business and they're not interested, then you can talk to them about the product, the benefit of the products for them. But if you start with the products and they're not interested, you can't really be like, well, hey, do you want to get some other people started on it, even though you're not interested in it? It's not, it sounds like you're kind of sleazy, right? So starting with the business, it's better to go on to the products then. So that's one thing. Starting the business, I'm looking at my notes, y'all, because I'll make sure I don't miss anything, any points that I want to make. But also what has helped me with duplication is that I assume nothing. Meaning, like, I don't assume anyone doesn't need this. I don't assume anyone is not interested. Y'all, my first emerald, my first jewel she is a dentist here in Houston. She has her own practice in one of the most affluent areas in Houston. And my second jewel is a pharmacist here in Houston. She's a practicing pharmacist. My third jewel's also a dentist. She owns 2 practices in Houston. So you don't never assume someone isn't interested in this opportunity, because my original way of thinking would have been like, they have a lot going on and they don't need anything else on their plate and they have the income that they need. Like, just don't assume that. Also, I don't assume that people on my team know what I know, right? I've gotten to the habit of just repeating myself. I'm always on repeat. You're just get used to saying the same things over and over to different people, but you're saying the same thing over and over. You're explaining the same thing over and over. And it's good to, do videos, to help with that, help with your time. But I never assume that someone knows something, right? I don't assume that any of my people, like I'll reach out to people and say, hey, you're so-and-so people away from earning this, right? Or you just need this much to earn this. And if you do it by this date, then you'll get a bonus of 500 instead of 250. Like, I post all of this stuff in my page and we talk about it in our calls and in our launches and welcome calls and business builder calls. But that doesn't mean people know it. That doesn't mean that they heard it. And even if they're on the call, it still doesn't mean they know it or heard it. So I make it a point to reach out to people and let them know, hey, if you do this in 2 more weeks, then, or you add people in this, and it does, just because I send an welcome email with all that info of the opportunity doesn't mean they read it. So I do a lot of texting people and letting them know if then, right? The if thing, like if you do this, then this will happen. And I just never assume that people already know. I've even had like some of my Jules will reply like, Raya, I know. She's like, you really just like, you really just explained that entire thing. I'm like, girl, look, I just want to make sure you know. I know you're busy. Make sure you know. So that's the other thing. Just never assume. Never assume people know things, and never assume people aren't interested in this, and never assume they don't want to do this, the business side of it.
Well, I have to interject this, and I thought Raya was going to say that. I was saving it for you, Raya, but you didn't even say it.
What?
ATM. Raya ATM'd her way to
Oh,
Diamond. I mean,
okay.
she's an ATM in full. This is one of the first things I taught her when she started Plexus. I said, we have a big kind of prospect page, like anybody can be added to this group. And it's called anybody that, we're prospecting for Plexus. And so the method is add, tag, and message. You add the person to the group, you tag them on a particular health story that would resonate with them, and then you message them. And originally I created this group years ago because compliance really started, getting real tight on the testimonies that we would share on our walls. And I added Raya to this group years ago. It was actually how she ended up joining Plexus, because I posted some thyroid testimony, and she's like, me. Didn't even know she had thyroid issues. She'd been a customer for over a year, never told me she had thyroid issues. And once she said, she raised her hand when I asked about thyroid, I was like, oh no, you're joining. Like, enough is enough. And then she joined, and then the rest is history. But as soon as she joined, that's one of the things that I taught her as far as duplication. And that was really simple for her to do because she was at home with her kids. It was easy for her to message people and then add them to that page, tag them on a health story, and message them. And that's really how you can easily start duplicating with your people, because people are not afraid that, like, that's not intimidating for people. Sometimes posting is, but that's not intimidating. So ATMing for sure.
I love that you explained that. Ray, a question for you. So somebody asked in the comments, like, obviously you lead with the business now, and we've got people wanting to know exactly what you say. But let me ask this. What about when you were gold and senior gold? Tell us how you led with the business then.
I didn't. I'll be honest with y'all. I didn't. And that's probably why I felt stuck at gold and senior gold. I didn't lead with the business. I was not good at duplicating. I'd gotten to gold by myself, and I'd gotten a senior gold by myself. I had one silver when I went senior gold, and that was my husband. So he basically knew that was me, right? That was during Leaders Retreat, and I just wanted to make him silver so I could get, those credits. So I was trying to get that shopping spree. But so I was not good at leading with the business at all at gold, senior gold. It really was when I was definitely at least, I may have been emerald by the time when I started leading with the business. So, and Robin kept telling me, Raya, you can't do this alone. You have to have people to lock arms with you and do this with you if you want to get past senior gold. And I just didn't, I was questioning myself too much. And I was making it about myself. And I felt like if I led with a business, people were going to think that this is the only reason why I wanted them to start the products, right? Like, so if I talk about the business, then they're going to think they're not going to realize how really good these products are. And they're going to think that I'm just trying to do this for money. And I really want them to start these products. And so that's what I had to get out of that and realize everything that the business side has done for me. And it also allows me to continue these products and have like a monstrous amount of products in my pantry, right? For all of my family, for all 5 of us to be taking. So Becky, what was your question, girl?
Well,
I'm just talking.
No, this is perfect because I love this because we got some good vulnerability up in here. So Robin, I want you to chime in too, because I would say, I don't know the majority of the ranks of the folks on this call, but I'm guessing we've got plenty gold, senior golds, rubies, or even some brand new people. And I want y'all to hear that we are telling you as diamonds in the company, we wish we would have led with the business earlier. For me, I don't know about you, Raya, but for me, it was fear. So I'm a big old Enneagram 2, and I'm constantly, I don't, not only do I assume every time I reach out to someone, like, oh, they probably don't need it, or she's probably going to think that I'm just, in it for me or whatever. Like, that's part of the way that my empathy gets in the way. But for me, it's fear about what they're going to think, fear about, are they going to think I'm using them? So this is where what I want to do for those of y'all on this call is, one, I want you to know that all of us, if we could go back, there's things we would do differently. So do as we say, not as we did. But two, I also want you to hear that if you don't work on your belief at Gold about the business and not about what you've created so far, because you don't do that in your faith. You don't put faith in yourself and say, well, I only believe whatever I've been able to accomplish in my life is possible for the next person. You wouldn't do that with your faith. So why would you do that in this industry? Because I think what happens is, I think a lot of the golds and the senior golds, or wherever you are in your ranking, you are going to tell yourself that you can only promise to someone else what you personally have been able to achieve. And that is dangerous, because you will end up doing this all by yourself. You won't be able to bring in, with that level of belief, you won't be able to bring in someone who really does see the possibility. So Robin, can you preach just for a minute about this? Because I have the same question for you. How did you lead with the business? Or maybe you didn't. And what would you say now to yourself back then?
I absolutely did lead with the business. Less back then, but I still did. Really, honestly, y'all, out of necessity. I mean, I didn't have a ton of people. I didn't have a Raya back then, that's for sure. And quite honestly, I did not do this for the business initially, but there was a particular pain point for me. I wanted the time flexibility. I was working a ton of hours as an assistant principal. And while I loved the work that I did working with children and families, I felt like I was pouring into other people's kids more than my own kids. So that was my pain point. So I really do, from the very beginning, I always tried to identify people's pain points. And so at the end of the day, I completely agree with you, Becky. It really boils down to belief, because there's not a person on the planet that doesn't need margin in their income. I'm sorry, that doesn't need an additional stream of income. I don't care if it's crazy, because if you talk to all of these jewels on our team, including the ladies that own dentist practices and all of these other things, haven't every single one of them been blessed by this opportunity, like exceedingly abundantly more than you could ask or think, like crazy. And so you just never know. You can't prejudge people. A lot of people would have looked at me. I mean, I had a great home. I have a husband who's an amazing provider, and I wanted out of my situation. So I just think you have to stop making it about you. And at the end of the day, I was not making a ton of money as a gold or senior gold ambassador when I walked away from my career in education. But guess what? I had the freedom of time. And so there were a lot of people that I was reaching out to, like, hey, girl, I know that this 9 to 5 is a thorn in your side. So just really focus on identifying people's pain points. That was a big one for me when I was first starting the business, whether it's time freedom, financial freedom, whatever it is, but identify that early on. Community is a big one.
Oh, yes.
Community, purpose.
Yes. Being able to bless other people, being able to give more. That was me though, Robin. Like, I was a professional, and I was so prideful and self-righteous when Andrea Mitchell first started talking to me, that I think I might have said, we don't need the money, which was just a flat out lie, because we had debt and I did not have time freedom as a business owner. Even though I love my job, I had a brand new baby, and I took 1 month off with him when he was born, and went straight back into seeing clients. And I'll never forget being at a Starbucks. At the time, my little 1-month-old baby, his name is Jack. He's now almost 10. But I was getting Starbucks and getting ready to head to my office, and there was a mommy there, and she had a little baby in her stroller, and he had his name, Jack. And I mean, I could cry thinking about it right now, because that was my pay point. Because I thought, well, my baby Jack is at home with a nanny while I'm getting ready to go work a 12-hour day seeing clients. And even though I had like my dream job that I'd gone to graduate school for, I was missing time. And that was, and we still had debt. We needed more income. So I love that. I will say, I think the theme of tonight's call is it's not about you, or it's not about me. That really so much of this is to bless other people. Okay, my last question for y'all. What are the things that you guys do daily, weekly, and monthly to pour into your businesses?
You want
You
me to
wanna
go?
go first, Raya?
I'll go first. Okay, so pretty simple. Daily, I just make sure to be, what do you call it, visual, right, with my team. So on my team page, I make sure, daily I'm posting in my team page. Um, and for me, that it's as simple as that. I need to make sure daily that I'm like adding value to my team and my team page. Most days I used to have like one coaching call a day. I had to stop that because you say they're only going to last like 30 minutes or an hour, and then you end up just being on the phone for a while. So I had some days I had to have those days where I wasn't doing coaching calls, right? So I've cut those out like 2 or 3 times a week, or really twice a week, like my coaching call days. But daily, really for me, y'all, it's that simple, like making sure I am engaging with my team and also engaging with my leaders, even if it's 1 or 2 posts, letting them know about something that's going on with Plexus. Weekly, every Wednesday I have a prospect call that I lead for my team. So it's Wellness Wednesday. They know that every Wednesday 7:30 Central, we are going to have this prospect call, where everyone, at the beginning of the month, I post the graphics for it on our team page, and so they have those graphics to invite people, so they know that's happening on Wednesdays. And usually on Mondays I'll have some type of kind of training or coaching thing, always the first Monday of the month, and sometimes we'll do other ones. That's weekly. Monthly, I always have the same Sunday of the month, third Sunday. And I really don't, y'all, I don't like doing things on Sundays. I really don't. But and I'm still trying to figure that out. I really want to change it from Sunday, but that's just the best day, Sunday evenings. So it's in the evening time. Every third Sunday of the month, I do a welcome call. So it's for everyone that has, whether it's wholesale or retail, we do this welcome call. And I talk about all the products that are available. I talk about possible, detox, talk about best practices. I also end it with the opportunity. And then after that, every third Sunday, right after our welcome call, is the business builder call. And so I break down how we get paid, how you add people, like what to do, just really like handhold, like the steps, as if, they never heard of this, but they want to start adding people. So that's monthly. Those 2 calls are monthly. Also, at the end of every month, I do another prospect call on the weekend. The last weekend of the month, I do a prospect call, to help kind of, help people push for the end of the month. And that's on a Saturday. But actually I just changed that to Sunday. I'm trying to get away from the Sunday, but it's like, seems like the only time, y'all. I just changed that to Sunday because, the world's opening back up and my kids are in soccer now, so I can't do Saturdays anymore. But those things I do monthly. And I mean, for me, it's that basic. I just have to kind of keep it like that, right? Like these calls that I do, and I'm not very fancy with that.
Okay, so Raya has her whole team. Obviously, she's a diamond. So these are things that I do that Raya incorporates her team in. Some people on the team do it, some people don't. It's just whatever tickles their fancy, whatever their schedule, they can fit in their schedule. So our bigger team does a gut health product training once a month, the first Tuesday of every month. I then do 3 subsequent team calls every single Tuesday without fail. I always do a team call. I'm usually talking about like overarching themes like commitment, and it's not necessarily about the business. I'm trying to teach leadership skills and teach resilience to people, and lots of leadership and mindset talk is what I do on a lot of my team calls. Thursdays are my big prospect call days. The first Thursday of every month is a work from home workshop. It's really where we invite all of our a work from home workshop where we're teaching them how to do this business, incorporate this business. That's casting vision right in the beginning of someone's journey to look at this as a work from home opportunity. And then we do 3-day challenges every single month. We do intermittent fasting challenges every quarter. We do book studies every single quarter. I'm huge on personal growth on our team. So we do book studies every 3 months. We have a new book study. I really try to like add some, pizzazz and jazz up our team call sometimes. So we've had a couple really good ones here lately. We had Mark Batterson on our call a couple weeks ago. We had a guy who was a star of a documentary. It was an organization that Plexus gave to. We had him featured on our call a couple weeks ago. So that was really neat. And he just talked about the parallels of what he learned in the sport of rowing and how that parallels to what we do in this business. So just constantly trying to pour back into your team, right? Because those are ways, like at the rank that Ray and I are, a lot of people just could consider, oh, we can just kind of like sit back and take a little bit of a break. But I'm constantly wanting to show my team that I'm wanting to still lead them with love and care for them and pour into them, because I'll never really be done until all of the people on my team that want to make it to where we are get there, right? So it's just that constant pouring in. But as far as my own personal daily method of operation, I'm huge on retention. So just consistently really focusing on keeping the people that have already joined me, keeping them afloat, brand new product users, casting vision to those brand new people, and also really focusing on my business builders, focusing on that 80%, the 20% of the people who are working, spending 80% of my time with those individuals. I also really focus on my own personal growth. I feel like in order for you to really be a stellar leader, you have to constantly be pouring into yourself, because you can't pour from an empty cup. So I'm constantly reading and making sure that I know, really where my belief is, and consistently pouring into myself so that I can pour back into my team. Another thing that is really important to me in my daily method of operation is obviously my own personal IPA, right? So continuously posting, doing my stories, all that good stuff, reaching out to new people, doing my follow-up, I'm a follow-up queen. And then finally, just training my newbies. I'm always like casting vision for new business builders. And what that looks like too, guys, is I have so many different legs that are working. I'll pour into whoever's running at the time. So there was a season before Raya was Diamond that, I was consistently doing casting vision calls for her team and strategy sessions with her team. And then I just had a new jewel last month, Summer Godfrey. She's a new Emerald. And so I was working with her team and pouring into her team and strategizing with them and helping them duplicate. So just consistently focusing on those really hot teams, those hot legs that you have, and really pouring into them and casting big vision. Because once you can cast big vision to a group of individuals and they start duplicating, it really does start to catch on like wildfire.
I love it. Thank you, guys. I'm looking to see if we missed. Well, somebody asked about a good book for a book study. Obviously, I don't know if you heard Robin say that. I know that they did Circle Maker. Did y'all do that last year together?
We did Circle Maker last year. Mm-hmm.
And then she had Mark Batterson, the author. If you've read any of his stuff, he's a fabulous author. Robin had him come speak to her team. No biggie.
Win the Day is a good one, though. Win the Day is one of his brand new ones, and that's highly recommended.
And Robin, did you do Road Back to You on the Enneagram? Your team, did y'all do that in 2019 or did I make that up?
I think we did it in 2018 because I think Raya hadn't joined me yet. Okay. Yeah, we did that in 2018.
Well, ladies, I can ask a ton more questions privately and then post them to our team page, but I want to be mindful of our time. Thank you so much, especially as wives and mamas, to give up an hour of your time to our team. And I want to tell you, I'm really proud of you. Especially, I'm grateful so much to have two incredibly talented and wise Black women as growing diamonds in our company. I just really value you. I think that you guys are top notch. And every time we do one of these calls, like I took a whole page of notes too. So I appreciate you teaching me and kind of help keeping my cup full as I pour into my team. And for everyone that joined us, thank you so much. I will post the recording soon, but bless y'all. Thank you so much for sharing with us tonight.
Thank you,
y'all.
Becky.
Thanks
Love
for
you,
having
friend.
us.
Night, guys.
Night,
Bye.
y'all. Bye.